also, when you logged in, you were automatically muted. So if you just couldn't wait one more moment, you had to say, Stacy, I have a question, or I want to add something, please remember to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we will roll right by, and we definitely don't want to do that just on a technicality. I also want to introduce Stacy, but I'll get to that in one moment when I finish the agenda. I hopefully will be finished in a few minutes. And then we will be moving on to the wonderful Stacy Yankov Oleski. I'm not sure if I got the last part right. The Oleski, was I right? Oh, a little bit off. Okay, well, Oleski. I'm going to keep working on that. But when I was preparing the agenda for tonight and I went on to the other slides I have available, I thought, no, wait a minute, I've got to go back. And I had in caps the wonderful Stacy. And I thought, no, I've got to go underline it because it definitely must be emphatic that we're happy to have Stacy and how wonderful she is. And she's going to take care of our journey this evening for most of the night. I'm going to be back to you at 8:15 and we'll have some final remarks, but we also have a draw for you. We've got some goodies and we've got a method behind the scenes to randomly select some lucky people. And I'll be handing that over to Rebecca when that time comes. And then of course we are going to say, when we meet again, when that time comes, but we're far away from that moment now. So I want to just spend some time, for some reason my slide is not moving forward, there we go, to thank our sponsors without whom we wouldn't have been able to provide this incredible event for you. And so we very, very much want to thank everyone at Canola Eat Well, our gold sponsors, and also to Brescia, who has a wonderful master's program. Also, the egg farmers of Ontario, who we really can't do without going into the holiday seasons, and eggnog and all the other things that we love about the egg farmers of Ontario. And also PC Blue Menu. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of their items in my fridge usually, but even more so over the holidays. And also a great big thank you to Ontario Beef, or Ontario Veal, who made this really a special night for all of us. So when you look back on tonight and you're thinking of all the great tips and how it's one little thing Stacy says may actually change your life and you can save all kinds of money, that please remember our sponsors in addition to Stacy. So here we have the fabulous Stacy, and she is from the Credit Counseling Society, and we wanted to put her logo there so that you could find more information after the event, and that you may know somebody now who needs the help, and there's lots of it there for you. And also just below that is nomordebts.org, so you can find out a lot more. We can only touch the surface tonight about what's available to you there, and I've personally looked at a number of sites just for being, aware as far as a home economist goes. And there are certain courses at Brescia that, in my opinion, the Credit Counseling Society and the work that Stacy and her team has done is the best really in the nation. And I say that without any reserve. And even if she wasn't speaking tonight, I'd still tell you that. But she is speaking, and she is the incredible Director of Education and Awareness at the Credit Counseling Society. So a really big job that really helps a lot of people. Her degree is in family ecology, which is a really interesting take on human ecology and home economics, but specialized. She's done all kinds of things, an incredible lineup, a professional coach, of course, a home economist, a certified educator in personal finance, which is a wonderful designation. And she's presented at many, many conferences in Canada and the US. And you'll see her every month in Canadian Living. She does a short 3 to 4 pages every month. And I know I tear those out. I maybe get rid of my magazine, but I don't get rid of Stacy's work. So look for her there. And more personally about Stacy is that she loves to read and spend time with her husband and dog. But Fused Stained Glass entered my world with your bio, and I love it. So please look into Fused Stained Glass. That's something that Stacy does in her spare time and is inspiring us with that as well. So I am going to say a great big welcome to Stacy, a great big thank you to Stacy, and stop my screen share and turn you over to her for a really exciting evening. So Stacy, over to you, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Peggy. That was such a, boy, I think you and I need to tag team. That was the
virtual
best
hug
introduction I've ever had.
Oh, great.
Can I give you my husband's phone number?
Yeah.
Can I play these? They're like teasing. Okay, folks, I'm just going to take a moment and share my screen. So just give me a second. Okay. So a couple of things. What I'm looking for right now, just a bit of housekeeping. Can everybody hear me? Can I just get a thumbs up, thumbs down? That's okay? Okay, excellent. So my name is Stacy, and we're going to talk about managing money in difficult times. Because as you can appreciate, we're in a bit of a difficult time right now with the pandemic. So we're going to talk about some budgeting, some savings, etc. I'm happy to answer questions if you want to put them in the chat. Um, I've got my technical support, Joy, who's my my new BFF.
Yeah.
Going to read out some questions if I don't catch them, because right now I can't see the chat. Or you can just mute, or you can unmute your phone and speak up. I'm totally cool with that. Okay. A couple of things about me. So my name is Stacy. My last names are Yankov and Oleski, which is why I just go by Stacy. I like to equate it like Cher or Madonna, right? But not that famous. No, they're just hard to pronounce. So I just go by Stacy, and that's all good. And I'm originally from Alberta. So when I say y'all, y'all is actually a word. So it's Y''ALL. It's a legit word, I promise. But today we're going to be talking about money. So thank you, Peggy, for introducing the Credit Counseling Society. We're a nonprofit charity, and we've been around since 1996. And what we do is we help consumers with their money. And what that looks like is we offer free credit counseling, we offer low-cost debt solutions, as well as financial education. As you can appreciate, I think financial education is the funnest one because that's what my team and I get to do every day is play in that sandbox. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is our relationship with money, or your relationship with money. We're going to go through budgeting tips as well as some savings ideas. And my hope is, my approach has always been a grab and go approach. You know, when it comes to money, this whole session can be overwhelming if you try and take every tip possible and implement it Monday, right? That's a bit too much. But maybe you grab 1 or 2 tips and you go try it. And then you build some success and some momentum and then go, you know what, that wasn't so bad. You know, I didn't die from that. So let me go grab another idea and try another thing. So that's the I guess, the stance that I take, and I encourage you to as well, because when it comes to money, things can get overwhelming very quickly. So I'm going to pause it there and I'm going to check the screens. I'm going to look for everyone. Any questions or comments so far? Are we cool? Okay. I'm going to assume silence is consensus and we're going to move on. So what is financial well-being? So the FCAC, the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, did some really great research, and they talked about financial well-being. So for those of you, or for those that are way younger than me on the call, I know what, I had one of my young millennial staff tell me what FWB stands for, and it's Friends with Benefits. So that's not what I'm talking about. That's a whole different workshop. So we're talking about money and financial well-being. And what that means is I can meet my commitments, so I can pay my bills on time. I feel financially comfortable, so I can do the things I want in my life. And I have resiliency for the future. I have the ability to deal with unforeseen expenses. What's interesting is I saw a report actually just today, and I spoke to the Huffington Post about it, is that 21% of consumers surveyed in this research claim or figured that their debt was just going to get written off or go away. Oh yeah, that gave me a lot of heartburn. I felt like I needed to eat a Tums or 2 because that's not true. Well, no, let me take that back. While that's true, the consequences of doing that are awfully painful and they take a long time before it finally does wipe off. But the fact that 1 in 5 Canadians are feeling that right now is concerning. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, so you've got the poll. I would like you to answer the question, why is it important to you personally to be good with your money? We'll just take a moment, please. Okay, 5 more seconds. 4 and 3, 2, 1. So what we're seeing here, look at our results. Okay, we're seeing that, for 25% of us, well, here I can share the results. That's even easier. Or can you see the results? Yeah, okay, good. So look at that. 25% of us want less stress. But what I'm happy to see is 42% of us actually want some peace of mind, right? Because if we have less stress, we got to replace it with something. So hopefully it's peace of mind. And 46% are saying like we want to feel safe and secure for our families. And 25% of us are saying I can afford what I want. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so moving on. So we've done that. So what being good with your money does, it does a lot for you. It reduces your stress. You actually can get a better sleep. So by a show of hands, and I'm gonna stop sharing for a quick sec. So we go to gallery view. With a show of thumbs up, thumbs down, have you ever been stressed about your money? Like I know I have. Yeah, okay, I'm glad to say I'm not the only one that's ever been stressed, right? And I find, oh, thank you, everybody. At least look at that. We're not alone, right? That's what's interesting is that we've all had stress when it comes to money. Okay. And I'll just share my screen. But what happens is that we can get a better sleep. I know for me, if I've got to worry about money, I find between 11 and 2 a.m., like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the best time to worry because I can't call anybody. My husband's busy sleeping, so I can't like wake him up and want to talk and hash a budget out, right? So I just stew. And then you have more control over your money. And what I like is that you get hope out of this, right? Because if 21% of Canadians, that in that survey are saying that they basically feel hopeless and helpless, that they can't do anything about their debt, what we want to do is change that around, right? By helping people increase their financial well-being. So here's what happens when we're not. This is a comparison of high debt stress consumers versus low debt stress consumers. Now have a look at the impact. When they say debt hurts, it actually does. It hurts with respect to anxiety. 29%, suffered severe anxiety. That's debilitating versus 4 who had low debt stress. Similar with severe depression. If it's exacerbating things that badly, it's probably impacting work, family, etc. Right? People have pain. Debt can hurt your body. You store pain. Well, obviously, you store pain in your body, but you store stress in your body too. Right? It's going to impact your stomach because stress likes to show up in your stomach. And look at that with heart attacks. 6% reported heart attacks, double the rate for those with low debt stress. I don't know about you, but that literally scares me. Right? That scares me, and it can break your heart. Right? And then, it hits your head as well with migraines. That can be also debilitating. So when I go and talk with people, I talk about how money and the stress of debt impacts you physically and it impacts you mentally. Debt stress is never going to make your body feel better, and it sure is not going to improve your mental health, right? So what we want to do is get in front of it, right? Ideally as individuals, we want to reduce our stress, get in control so we can increase our financial well-being and reduce some of these health and mental health risks. Okay. For us at the Credit Counseling Society, what we see, these are the top 7 reasons. As you can appreciate, especially with COVID, we've seen that lose a job and the budget goes out of the window very quickly, right? Or lose your hours or get furloughed or shuttered or whatever terms we're using. Excessive use of credit. And here's what's interesting. Okay, so if you go, next time you're out shopping, don't stare because it's rude. And if you get caught, don't blame me, but blame Peggy. No, I'm teasing. I'm totally kidding, Peggy. Like, don't stare and don't get caught, but just kind of notice what people are paying with. They're paying a lot of times they're paying with credit cards. And is it just for the points or the cash back? Somehow I doubt that. Okay. Number 3, you get sick or you get hurt, of course. For me, the most interesting one is number 4. So what I'm going to do, it's the no budget or lack of financial education. So I'm going to stop sharing for a quick sec so we can, we're going to go in the chat and I'm going to ask you 3 questions and you can just write yes, 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 or no, no, no for all of them, okay, in the chat. So is everybody ready? Okay, So I'm going to ask you the 3 questions, and you can put like yes, no, 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 whatever. First question is, do you believe you were born with money management talent? Kind of like Gretzky in hockey, since I'm from Edmonton. Number 2, okay, and I wasn't born with that kind of talent. Number two, did you have parents who taught you well, did your parents raise you teaching you how to be good with money? That was a big fat no for my family. We didn't talk about money, but you could feel if there was tension, okay? And I appreciate what someone said, yes and no, and kind of, right? All of our parents taught us something, whether it was good lessons or not, right, is up for debate, but they taught us something. And then the third and last question is that did you have teachers who taught you how to manage your money well in school, like K to 12? For me, that's a big fat no, right? It was not part of our curriculum. But somehow we turn 18 and there's this societal expectation that we are now financially literate, right? You get your first credit card, you take a swipe, magical money fairy dust, it's all green and gold, it flies up in your face, you take a sniff and boom, you know what you're doing with money. Well, I wouldn't have a job if that were true, right? This is where we get into trouble, is that we don't know what we're doing because we're not taught. And as you can appreciate, what happens is that when we're not taught about it, and we are not taught and we don't talk about it, what happens with money is that when we make mistakes, we feel like we're what? For me, alone. What else could we feel? Let's put it in the chat. What other kind of feelings? Or speak out loud, that's fine too. Shame, Nicole, absolutely. Yep. Shame's a huge one. Embarrassment, frustrated, regret. Yeah, these are great ones. Absolutely. Yeah, Peggy says, I'm the only one with a problem. Yeah, you feel alone. And there's nothing that feels worse. Because when it comes to money, right, it's not about the dollars and cents. It's how you feel about it. It's your relationship with money. It's kind of like I equate it to weight loss. I'm a bigger girl, so let's do you can do the math, right? Eat less, exercise more should equal weight loss. Well, if it were just that easy, right, we'd have thin people everywhere. It's the same with budgeting. If it were just that easy and just about numbers, we'd have no debt. But it's not about the numbers, right? It's about how we feel about it. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen again. And as you can appreciate with these other, a separation and divorce will impact a budget, failed businesses, and high housing costs. Okay, so we're going to talk about more than just dollars and cents. So what you can think about while you're exploring your own, relationship with money is your history, right? It's important to know where we come from. And that includes the lessons and the messages we heard. Who raised you with money? What lessons did they teach? Who managed the money? What were the messages? Is money the root of all evil? Or is it all, are we living paycheck to paycheck, or we're always crisis to crisis, or we have an abundance mentality, right? How you were raised with money will impact your relationship with it now. And if anybody's in a relationship, you could probably raise your hand real quickly to say, yeah, how my person was raised with money is very different than how I was, right? And that's where couples can get into a lot of trouble, is because we're raised with different money histories and money values. We can look at our money values as well and our beliefs. So it's getting down below the surface and understanding and exploring what we want to do. Okay. So Joy, I'll get you to launch the poll, please. We've got one more poll. And the question is, what does money mean to you? Okay, I think Joy's there. Oh, there we go. Okay, does everybody have the poll there? No, that's poll 1, sorry. Sorry, folks. Okay, launch the poll. There we go. What does money mean to you? So we've got the options of safety, security, charitable giving, comfort, taking care of myself and my family, independence, choices, status. And that's not an exhaustive list. It's just for a poll. Okay, we'll take 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. So let me share the results. Can you all see that? Okay, so look at it. We've got 45% of us, really prefer safety and security, while 27% of us actually believe in it, like our money is for charitable giving. And 36% of us said for comfort, 50% said taking care of family, myself and my family. 68% said independence. That's an interesting one, right? That was such a high value of ours. 59% said choices and 5% said status. Now, there's no right answer on that because your money values are yours. But if you can understand what drives you, so for example, myself, it's safety and security and independence. Whereas my husband, it's more of like live for today kind of thing. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun when we're both hungry and tired. And about 11 o'clock at night. Another thing you can do is actually organize your financial information. I did this a few years ago, like I had it relatively organized, but what I did is I took, I can't remember whose book it was, but I'll find it. And I got my file folders and I organized all my finances. And so every year I do go through, pick out the old stuff, shred it, and then update it as well. And for me, that's reduced my level of stress because I can find what I need when I need it. Because with the deepest amount of love, I live with a person who can't find things and puts remotes in fridges because he forgot about it, right? So for me and my sanity, I need organized financial files. So it's worth taking, a couple hours on a Saturday, making pretty labels if you like, and organizing them. Okay, so let's go in the chat. How do you react when you hear the word budget? Oops. There we go. How do you react? There we go. Oh, sorry, folks. I'm just having a technical issue right now. Just give me a quick sec. There we go. Like this restricted, stressed, restrained, right? I love that. Grr. Thanks, Christina. Yeah, it's hard to follow. It's a plan for help. It's a way to get in control. Absolutely. So there are lots of good reasons for budget, but the word budget just gives us a bit of a reaction, right? I have to tell you a little story. So I was teaching in BC. I was teaching at BCIT they had a student program and we were parachuting in to do so. And so I do this activity where I say to the students, okay, you be the credit counselor. I'm going to be the client. I'm in debt. Let's brainstorm ways we can get out of debt. So we were brainstorming and then it stalled out a bit. And I said, okay, folks, it starts with B. And this student right up at the front puts his hand right up and says, bankruptcy. I'm like, in my head, luckily there's a filter. I'm like, oh, dude, it's a budget, not a bankruptcy. So we educated him. But budget it just gives us a reaction, right? But what we can do is we can treat it like a spending plan. Okay, so all it is, it's just a written plan. It's giving a job to every dollar you bring home, right? This dollar is going to groceries, but this one is going to rent. Okay, it gives everything a job because when dollars don't have jobs, they make their own jobs, right? But the cool thing is that when I do a budget for you, it's restricted, right? I'm telling you what to do. Whereas when you do your own, you're basing it on what you want, your goals, your priorities, and your values. Because how you spend money just is a reflection of your values and where you're at. Okay, so I'm just going to check the chat for a quick sec. Oh, you know what, folks? I'm struggling with my chat. Just give me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it gives you discretionary and needs-based. It's structure. Yeah. It can mean having a fight. Sure, I get it, Lori. Yeah. Okay. So a budget, if we're just going to do the math, right? It's take-home pay. So minus or whatever you're making, okay, after taxes, minus living expenses, irregular expenses, emergencies, and savings. And we're going to go break that down. So one of the best things that we can do to start is actually set a goal, right? I love this. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Yeah, I wish I could save money. What are you doing? I am saving money. I wish, right? But what we want to do is actually put it into a goal, a SMART goal. So what you can look at is your terms. Is it a short-term goal? You know, I need to get through Christmas. Is it a medium-term goal? Like, let's say, you know, by the end of 2021, I want to save X or do X. Or is it a long-term goal? And your goals are going to differ depending on where you're at in your life, right? If I'm just out of university, maybe my long-term goal is saving for a down payment, saving for a home. Or if I'm I just had a new baby, maybe my long-term goal is saving for their education. Or if you're like me, maybe it's for retirement, right? It depends on ages and stages. But what we can do is we can break it down, right? The SMART goals. I'm sure we've all heard this, SMART. It's specific, it's measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. So if you ask me, hey, Stace, what's your goal? And if I say it's to save money, it tells you nothing, right? It doesn't say if it's $5 for a good cup of coffee, $50 for a dinner out, $500 for, mama's weekend, or 5,000 because, I need a break. It doesn't say anything. So what we want to do is make it SMART. So you're welcome to, if you have a pen and paper, write down your own goal. So we'll take just a moment. So my goal is, I want to achieve it, and this is your time frame. The total cost of your goal is, and if you can do the math in your head, you can divide it by the number of pays you have. So for example, if I want to save, okay, I want to save for an emergency. I want to achieve it in 1 year. That's my time frame. I know why I'm saving it. The cost of my goal is $500. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to drag 500, to move 500 out of somewhere to something else gives me a bit of stress, right? That's a bit of heartburn for me. So instead of working myself up, to eating more Tums, why don't I just break it down? I can break it down because I get paid every 2 weeks. That's my pay cycle. That I break it down bi-weekly. So I take the $500 divided by 26 paydays, and that's now $20 per paycheck. Now I get to ask myself, does that, can I afford $20 every 2 weeks, or can I not? If I can't, then I can either extend the goal. So maybe it's not 1 year, it's now 18 months, or I reduce the goal, right? I've got some choices. But at least for me, when I see this, like $500 goes, oh, I don't know if I got that. But I can do $20 every 2 weeks, right? That's manageable for me. Okay. So just a couple of tips about goal setting. Okay, be very, very clear on your goals. What exactly are you saving for? And this is putting the coach hat on, is why are you saving for it? Why is it important? If it's not important, you won't stick to it, right? But if it is, and you really can anchor it into why it's important, you're more likely to achieve it. Pay yourself first. You're the most important person in your relationship with money. So, let's act like it. Pay yourself. You can even make it automatic with your bank account transfers. Okay, and you can also use separate accounts as well. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to change gears and we're going to talk about the money, the actual, the money going out. Okay, so you can track expenses. So has anybody ever asked themselves, where did all my money go last month? I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? Well, the solution, sadly, because I'm going to be honest, it's so boring. Now, I know that there's some of us money nerds or money geeks that like to do this and get really excited by it. Bless you. I just want to hug you so hard. But most of us are not like that, right? So it's more fun to go spend the money than it is to write it down. But if you ever want to get on track with your money, this is the one thing. Sadly, it's the most boring tip in the world. I wish it were sexier, but it's boring, but it works. Tracking your expenses tells you the truth. Because I know when I'm, driving in my little yellow car, my Liz Lemon car, I'm driving and I'm thinking about my money going, okay, I can remember, a couple of items on my budget and go like, I should be rich as ever. Yeah, no, because I've forgotten about all these other expenses. And what's worse, I've forgotten about the $2.99 or the $7 breakfast at Tim Hortons with a coffee, right? Oh, I forgot. I didn't write that down. I forgot. The $19.99, the $5.99, like all of these little things that bleed out your budget. It tells us the truth. I once had a woman in a webinar that said, I did this and I learned that I had a chewing gum habit. Yeah, who knew? And that's okay, right? If you like gum, if that woman likes gum, put it in your budget. So tracking expenses is not about denying oneself. It's just about being aware of where the money's going. I had another woman in a webinar. She came during a November webinar during Financial Literacy Month. And I always offer, like, does anybody want to join me on a 2-week tracking challenge? And she volunteered to do so. And she came back in January to another webinar I was teaching. And she piped up and said, just by tracking, I saved $200 over 2 months just by writing it down. She didn't change anything. Because the act of writing it down, it's like dieting, right? Weight Watchers, if you bite it, you write it, right? If you got to write it down and be accountable to that piece of paper or that app, you better want it, right? So do I really want that coffee or do I really want that cute pair of shoes? Because if I do, I have to write it down, right? So maybe I don't, but it gets us into control. There's so many ways to do this, right? People get overwhelmed, so you can kick it old school, right? Pen and paper works like a charm. We have tracking booklets that people can use. The old Excel spreadsheet works just fine. Envelopes, save your receipts and stick them in the envelope and write it down what you spent. Your smartphone apps, right? But my phone is really dirty. But something to be aware of with smartphone apps, there's 2 types. The first one is the manual, right? You have to manually enter in that I had a coffee or I had breakfast or I had whatever, okay? The second is like Mint, so M-I-N-T, mint.com, where you give them permission to take a screen scrape of your accounts and pull that information into their device, into their app. The challenge with that is that if you are a victim of identity theft or fraud through that account, because you've allowed a third party in, you may not be protected. So just be careful with that, okay? And if you're completely overwhelmed, like, oh, Stace, I don't want to know this, like, especially before Christmas, this is like the worst time to know this. You know what? Start with 1 category or even 2. For me, groceries is the biggest one, right? Groceries is the one that can balloon out real fast. And so by tracking it, I can keep it between the lines. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing for a quick sec, and I'm going to check the chat and open it up for, does anybody have any questions or comments or experiences that they want to share about goal setting or tracking expenses? Does anybody track their own expenses? Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to offer, as I offer with every group, is does anybody want to join me on a 2-week tracking challenge? You can put yeses, or if it's no, that's okay. There's no pressure. And the question comes up like, is this the best time, Stacey? It's right before Christmas. Yeah, actually, it's a great time, right? Because it's just information. That's all it is. And again, I'm going to put my coach hat on and go, you know what? This is not about judgment. This is not about bad Stacey, shame, shame, shame. No. This is just interesting information. I have a colleague who loves Starbucks coffee, which I get. I like strong coffee too. But he loves it so much that he puts a line item in his budget. Cool, right? So it's not about giving up the coffee. It's about accounting for it in the budget. That's it. It gives that money a job, and the job is Starbucks. Okay. Okay. So another thing we can do is understand and account for our seasonal and irregular expenses. Okay. So what are some expenses that occur occasionally for you? Let's put it in the chat, or you're welcome to speak out loud. Thanks, Nicole, for sharing about tracking your grocery expenses. So what are some irregular or seasonal? Yeah, car repairs, vet bills. Oh, Hillary, with horses, sure. Textbooks. Yeah, vehicle maintenance, gifts, renos, house maintenance. Yeah, these are great. See, hi, Carol. Oh, it's so good to see you. I know, Carol. Okay, so what we've done is we've broken these down into 4 categories, because I know what happened for me before I started working at CCS. And honestly, CCS has been my financial education. So, I feel so lucky that I not only got a job, a really cool job, but I got to learn all this stuff too, because I didn't know how to do this, and no one taught me, which I'm sure a lot of people were not taught as well. So what happens is that we forget about those irregular expenses that happen every few months or once a year. And then boom, when they come, oh, I don't have it in the savings, pull out the credit card, right? And slap that down. Now you got a debt to pay for. So instead, by breaking it out and accounting for it, you can make it easy. And I'll show you how. So in this example, so housing, whether you rent or own, there are still irregular housing expenses, right? Even appliances, right? Your toaster is on the fritz. Okay, you need to go get a new toaster. The living expenses. Now, some of these can be turned into regular expenses, right? Or monthly expenses like car insurance. I pay mine every month, right? But auto maintenance comes up, and the dentist and the optometrist. And look, I don't want to brag, but I've got the cutest dog in the whole world. And I'm sorry if you're jealous. And he's got these really cute, long, floppy ears. But I think I'm paying my vet's mortgage, right? Because they get all weird on the inside. So I've got to account for that, right? Or maybe with work, you've got to get a license or clothing, or you've got professional fees, right? Our home economists are, our professional home economist fees, right? And clothing and shoes. Like I don't personally go, well, I don't spend a lot on clothes anyway, but I don't go spend like $50 on a blouse every month or on clothing and shoes, right? Every month, like I pay my rent, my mortgage. You tend to spend it in seasons or in clusters. Holidays. We're so surprised that December shows up every year, but it's coming, right? And then we're shocked, but it's there. Getting your hair cut, okay, hobbies, etc. So what we do with this information is, first of all, open up a separate bank account or separate savings account. It's easy, especially for the free ones. Okay. You add up all of your seasonal or your annual irregular and seasonal expenses, and then you divide either by 12 or 26 or 24, depending on your pay cycles. And then you move that over into the account. So I'll show you what that means. So let's say my irregular expenses are $700 for the year. I can either put $59 every month into a savings account, or I can do 30 bucks every payday. By shifting that money over, when that expense comes due, I move it from savings to checking, pay it, and be done. Or I pay it on my Visa and I just pay my Visa off. For me, when I started doing this, it actually got me out of that habit of pulling out the credit card because I didn't have the money, right? By putting it in savings, you can actually reduce the stress and pay for it. So I'm going to pause it. Does anybody have any questions or comments about irregular expenses? You're going to have to, let me see it. Let me go into the chat. Oh, okay, Brooklyn, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I just had a question. So for the irregular expenses, so it's over the monthly deposit over a year. So let's say that I'm just starting this now. Is this in preparing for next year then? And like, how would I manage in that one off year from now until then?
Yeah, and that's going to be a challenge, right? It's the getting started is the hardest year, right? So if you can find ways to save some money and just keep putting it into that savings account, you can start there, right? And what you want to do is just build that account to the point where you can just withdraw from that. But yeah, you're right, Brooklyn, the first year's tough.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we know emergencies happen. Clearly 2020 just feels like a big emergency, right? I saw a meme over the summer that said, like, when winter comes, like the snow will be will be flammable. Like I'm just waiting for, on fire snow to come, because who knows, right? 2020. But we know that emergencies happen. It's not if, it's when. So let's put it through the chat. What would be some examples of emergencies that we could happen, that could happen? Or maybe that have happened to you, or maybe someone you know. Oh my goodness, okay. So we know that they're going to happen. But here's what's interesting. Remember that FCAC, that Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, research that I was talking about? They talked about, I'm a bit of a Star Trek fan. You know, resistance is futile, right? When the Borg comes in, okay, but resistance is not ever futile. And what's interesting is they found that if a person resists the urge to borrow to cover daily expenses, it actually increases their financial well-being. So just by not borrowing, to get through the month, okay, financial well-being goes up. So some options could be using savings. Okay, sometimes we can go without. Sometimes we can earn a bit of extra money to cover it off. And sometimes we can cut an expense out, even if it's just for a month or two, just to get through the emergency. And what I encourage, although a lot of experts, and I'm not a financial expert, but experts talk about, let's have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. That's great. If you got that, hats off, that's awesome. But that's really overwhelming for a lot of Canadians. And so what my recommendation is always to start small and then grow it into 3 to 6 months. So if we start small by trying for $1,000, $1,000 can get us out of a few emergencies, or at least downgrade the emergency from emergency to inconvenience. And we can do $1,000 pretty easily, right? Remember we saw with 500, it was 20 bucks. For 1,000 every 2 weeks, it's $39. And that gets you to $1,000 in 1 year. Okay. We can paycheck plan. Now, I remember I was training with Fernanda, one of our most experienced counselors, and she's very funny. She's from South Africa, and she says to her clients in a very warm, compassionate way, like, you can cry and that's okay, but you only get one Kleenex because we're a charity. And she's joking. It livens up. It relaxes the clients. But I remember training with Fernanda, and she went through this paycheck planning process, and I swear that I stopped paying attention to the appointment because it felt like the skies opened up and the budgeting angels sang. Like I'm sure there was music that day because I didn't know how to do this, but it changed my life when I figured it out. So what it looks like is we have 3 types of expenses. We have fixed expenses. They're fixed. They're the same amount on the same day every month, right? Your rent, your mortgage, an insurance payment, a car payment, any of those, they're predictable. We have cash and variable expenses. So they happen every single month, but they can go up and down and the dates can change. Gas, groceries, entertainment. And then we have our savings expenses. So that's irregular expenses, which we've covered, emergencies, as well as our goals. And now what we're going to do is we're going to plan our paycheck to deal with all of these expenses. Because I'm not sure about anybody else, but I got married. We've been married 21 years. And, oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's because we don't like paperwork. We're just not going to bother with a divorce. No, I'm joking. He's right there. I love him. He's cool. But when we got married, we went through this marriage prep course and they didn't talk about money. So we got married. We figured we were in love. So we put everything into the same account and just hope for the best. I can tell you that we're still standing, but it was not a good scene, right? So, but when we learned how to do this, it just made things easier for both of us. So what we look at is different categories. So what are your fixed expenses, and you can list them out. What are your cash and variable expenses? And then what are your savings expenses? Okay. Then what we do is we total them at the bottom. And then depending on your pay cycle, right, whether that's monthly, bi-weekly, every 2 or twice a month, or something different, that's what you divided it by. So that it looks like this. Money comes into your account and you put money automatically into your bills account. So my husband and I have a checking account that is strictly for bills. It's our fixed bills account. We don't go into it and ever operate out of it, like ever. Just money goes in and money's automatically withdrawn for bills. Great. I know exactly what to expect. It's predictable. And when we were dumping it all into one account, it became completely unpredictable because money's coming out for groceries and gas and I don't know the timing, right? And for a control freak like me, again, I'm gonna invest in Tums because it costs a lot of Tums. But then after you put your money into your bills account, so I get paid every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, a certain amount of money goes automatically into that account. I don't even think about it. And then a certain amount of money goes into variable expenses and then irregular expenses, that my savings accounts to cover off irregular expenses, emergencies, and goals. Now, I'm asking you not to judge me because I get free accounts, but I'll explain. I actually have 7 different accounts. So let me explain. My husband and I have our fixed bills account. Okay, we have a joint checking for cash and variable expenses of gas, groceries, entertainment. Okay, I also have a personal checking account for my own money. Like when I have, and I'll explain in a bit, we give each other an allowance. So, and then I've got 4 savings accounts for 4 things that are important to us. Okay, so we got that cute dog with those weird ears, right? So we got to save for him. We save for our home maintenance. Okay, we save for travel, but that's shot this year, right? And we save for emergencies. Okay, that's what's important to us. Okay, because I have free savings accounts, right? I have 7, okay, and that works for me. Now, if I were paying $10 per account, that's a colossal waste of time, of money, right? So you can use free accounts to help you manage and organize your finances. So I'm going to pause it there and just open it up for any questions around paycheck planning.
I have a question, actually.
Yes.
So I know you were talking about how you and your partner put all of your income into one account, and that's something that I've recently been discussing with my spouse, and it's something that I wonder how you approach that topic, that if you have different incomes, how do you go about talking about putting money towards savings in an account together?
Yeah. Oh, if I knew now what I knew then, like if I knew then what I knew now, I think it would be a much more peaceful conversation.
So I'm asking the expert.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. That's a great question. So what you want to do is, first of all, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? You want to come clean with all the finances, whether there's debt, credit scores, et cetera, as well as accounts. And then also with your income, right? If let's say your partner makes, I'm sorry, I'm making a story, but makes 10% more, then your partner should put in 10% more, right? So that, because if you're not making the same amount of money, same is not same, and then it becomes unfair to the person making less money. And then what we see is that that person starts to get resentful and pissy, right? And that's best case scenario, is they're resentful and pissy about it. The worst case is that they're ashamed and afraid to ask for help, so they get into debt, and it's secret debt, right? So how you approach it is agree to be honest. And then, and you just have to look at your ratios, right? If your person makes more than you, they should be putting in more towards savings. And then agree, like, okay, we agree on certain goals. Let's agree that every paycheck I put X and you put Y into savings. And then check in. Okay, good question. Thanks, Rebecca.
I love the percentage idea. That's something we hadn't thought about. So
yeah.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And we have a Couples in Money. We're calling it Love and Money, Ending the Financial Feud. We have a webinar, so you're more than welcome to join us for that as well.
Okay. Where would I find, can I get a link for that at the end?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, maybe you want to cut back on credit, and not you, Rebecca, but like maybe y'all, we all want to cut back on credit. And there are lots of ways to pay for things that don't require a credit card, right? The Visa debit or the debit MasterCard, well, it acts like a credit card and you can use it like a credit card. It's actually coming out of your debit account. Okay? Prepaid credit cards, that does not build any credit for you, but you can use it like credit. Okay? Secured credit cards, PayPal, e-transfers, gift cards, and I mean cash. I want to put an asterisk by that, right? Because cash right now is being, we're being dissuaded from using it because it's germy and gross. But at some point, cash will come back, I hope, or not. Okay. What we can also do to help us with our finances is meal plan. Okay. Meal planning, and I think I've got a lot of food experts in the room. Meal planning is so important, right? It prevents us from doing the, oh man, driving home from work, and my blood sugar is so low that I'm going to stop at McDonald's and then cook the roast, right? Like, you're creating more expense and you waste more when you don't meal plan. So the key is, whether it's 7 days or 14 days or a month, plan out your meals, figure out your ingredients. Take my advice and check your pantry, because I remember I didn't do that one Christmas. We were going to do some Christmas baking. We are going to do apparently a lot of Christmas baking. I forgot to check my pantry, so I have a lot of sugar. So if anybody needs sugar in the Oakville area, I got some. But check your pantry. And then your freezer and your fridge, scrape off anything that you've already got, and then go shopping, whether that's in-person shopping or you're going, virtual shopping with Instacart. Right? And if it's not on the list, it doesn't get added to the cart. And that meal plan not only keeps you on track for health, hopefully, if you're planning good meals, but it also can help you with your finances. Okay, you can use your smartphone and download rebate apps and price matching apps. You have to check with your local store if they price match, but some do. I was just talking with a counselor today, Danielle in Hamilton, and she was saying to me, I just saved like $27 on Flip today. I'm like, hey, snap, that's like good girl, right? $27 is $27. So you can get these apps. So feel free to leverage technology. Ask for discounts. If you are a student, you just pull the student card all the time. Whether you are, it doesn't matter who you're talking to, just tell them you're a student. If you're a senior, pull the senior's card and pull that, right? Or if you're bold, and I encourage you to be bold, call your companies and say, look, I'm thinking about leaving. What can you do for me? It is more expensive to get a new customer than it is to retain a customer. The key is, here's the tip, is you call in to, let's say it's, I have Fido for my cell phone. I can call into them, but I talk to customer retention. Customer retention, that's where they can do the deals. Well, here, let me just shave $10 off. $10 doesn't sound like a lot, but $10 is still $10. And if you can do that with 2 companies, 2 or 3, maybe that's $30 you save. Right? It's always worth the ask. Okay, taxes. We know they're coming up. Okay, do your taxes. I know some people avoid taxes. Like they'll think like, if I don't owe CRA any money, I don't have to do them. Well, you should, because you want access to benefits, right? And you can't access a lot of government benefits, especially during the pandemic, without doing your taxes. So it's always worth doing them. I was talking with someone yesterday. We were talking about CRA, and CRA has a very long reach and can have very sharp teeth when they're dealing with people. So it's worth never getting in their bad books, right? I want to have a really positive relationship with the tax man and the tax woman and the tax folks, because they can make my life difficult, right? Much more than any other creditor can do. So it's always worth doing your taxes. Okay. And checking our credit scores. Now, we can get really worked up over credit scores, right? With Credit Karma and this credit score and that credit score. The point is not so much about the credit score, it's really about the report. Because the credit report is a detailed history of your financial, history, right? It's like your resume, but for your finances. If that is accurate, then that information just feeds your credit score accurately. Okay, and your credit score, like I don't worry about my credit score. I checked it in January. I check my report and my score in January, like once a year, and then I leave it be, because my credit score will go up and down every couple of weeks. That's normal, right? As you pay a bill or as you incur a debt, on your Visa, it goes up and down. I don't sweat my credit score, but I do sweat my credit report, okay? Because decisions get made, beyond your lenders based on your credit report and score. I'm going to pause it there because sometimes we get questions around credit. So I'm just going to pause it and open it up. If you've got questions, just unmute yourself and speak up, please.
Hi, Stacy, it's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I was just wondering, can you recommend a credit score website?
Equifax and TransUnion. Yeah, both of them. And I recommend that you check from both, because different creditors report differently to each of them. But those are the agencies in Canada that we go with. Now, Credit Karma will grab information from there, but their scores are different. And so I always say, go to the source. And I remember I was teaching, actually it was in Ottawa, I was talking with some students at Algonquin College, and one student said, well, it's free. Yeah, nothing's free. Well, you may not have paid in dollars and cents, you do pay with information, right? So yeah, always go through Equifax and TransUnion. It's completely free for you to get it, and you can get it as often as you want. Your credit score, though, Michelle, you do have to pay for. I think it's $20.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Any other questions about credit? Yeah, Peggy.
I have a question, but since we're talking about Equifax, I just have something to add. Is it's not just the number of where you rank out and how would a bank see you or whatever. One of my financial friends had said, "Oh yeah, you should not just check your credit, but also, like you had said, the report." And I had found there was a car I had had, I think 7 years before, and it was still on my report. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I had paid for it and that had been closed out. So they're not perfect either. And so it wasn't a credit problem or anything. I just wanted to, understand and monitor my score because my financial friend had suggested it. And I was really surprised to see there were, I wouldn't say errors, it's just outdated information.
Absolutely.
And when I corrected that, it was just very, very interesting. So now I do pay the $20 and monitor it. And you also get identity theft insurance with Equifax. So
Right.
I'm not sending out a plug for that. I feel much more relieved knowing that the people that monitor my credit are willing to help me out if I have an identity.
Yes.
So there's additional benefits to checking your credit regularly. So I just wanted to add that.
That's great, Peggy. Absolutely. And to your point, there are mistakes on the credit report. I've had mistakes on mine.
Yeah.
And remember, if you don't correct your own mistake, like the mistakes on your report, then people assume that that information is true and they make decisions based on that information, which is scary.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, it was an easy fix. I just got a car company and said, this is on my credit report. And it was fixed in like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was easy, an oversight, but yes. And someone in the chat just said, how do you spell that? Equifax is E.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead, Stacy.
Oh, EQUI and then fax, FAX. And you know what I can do is I can put in the chat. Let's see if I can get this bad girl going. Oh, there we go. I'm going to put in the chat. I'll just put the website.
So Peggy, it's Michelle. With those errors, were they quite outdated? Or had it been something recent?
No.
The car. Or back you need to go.
Yeah, no, it was back 7 years. I didn't even drive the car anymore. I had traded it in and, ended that relationship on the car, had a different car, and it was 7 years.
Yeah, people make mistakes, right? The system isn't perfect. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Peggy.
There are a couple of additional questions in the chat.
Excellent. Yes.
Laura's asking, when do you recommend paying someone expenses to do your taxes versus doing them yourself?
I recommend, if you have basic simple taxes and you are comfortable doing them, do your own, sure. If you are not, it is not that's not the time to save and scrimp, right? Do it for free. Go to your local tax person and just get it done. You can also attend different community agencies have tax clinics that help you do your taxes as well if your income is low enough, right? It's typically on a sliding scale. But with taxes, you want to get them done. Yeah, Peggy.
And just to build on what you said, Stacy, is I know when I was a student, I'm missing not being a student. I'm not quite a senior, but I'm not a student. So I'm in this period where I'm trying to let go, but there's nothing to pick up. I'm paying full price for everything. But what I wanted to add was that when I was a student, I would just go to the mall and H&R Block. I don't know if other people do them. $24.99 because I was a student. So that's very affordable. I always found it affordable, and they would find little things I never would have thought of. I might have been able to file my basic income tax, but there were things that they asked me. I thought, well, why are you asking me this? And they said, oh, it could be. So you can save money spending the $24 or whatever it is. Now, personally, I know it can be more than that, but while you're a student, it can be very affordable to get it done professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And let's just have a look. Was there? Yeah.
There is one more. It says, does tracking your credit report lower your credit score?
No, great question. So if you are checking your own credit report and score, it has no impact. It's considered a soft hit, right? If I check it on you, then it's a hard hit. So that does lower your score a smidge, right? So that's where you have to be careful with the what I call running the gauntlet, on some campuses where you know, you've got the Visa over there, and you know they're going to offer you a free T-shirt, and then you get a coffee cup from RBC, and you get you get all of these free things, but you just hit your credit report 4 times, right? And that stays on your credit report and score for 3 years, and it does impact your credit score. So just be careful how often you're applying. But if you check your own, you're solid. It has no impact.
I also had another myth question if you wanted to test it. I heard that if you pay off your credit card right away, it lowers your credit score.
Right. It doesn't lower it, certainly. So no, there's been rumors, and I was corrected because I was under the same impression. Not that it lowers it. So I'll give you the example. Let's say after tonight, I go buy a cute pair of shoes. Okay, and I come home, although I don't know where I can buy a cute pair of shoes this late, but I go get them. I come home and I pay my credit card off. That will have no impact on my credit. Okay, it certainly doesn't lower it, but actually it does build your credit. It's fine. You're good to go by making your payment right then and there. You're fine on your credit. And just remember, credit score is not everything, right? Your credit report is more important than your credit score. Okay, let's move on. Okay, I love this T-Rex so much. Okay, so now we're gonna switch gears and we're gonna talk about savings. Okay, now savings is really hard because we have to fight our instincts, right? We are hardwired to share and to spend, right? Because we used to exist in the collective, right? Tribes, etc., where you had to share resources, right? There was no point in saving it, right? So like the T-Rex, we have to fight our instincts and be willing to save. Oops. Just a moment. There we go. And what's also important to look at with respect to savings is where's your locus of control? Do you believe that's inside? You've got the control over your financial life? Or is it like the 21% that I was quoting earlier, believe that control is completely outside of them? There's no hope and they're helpless to do anything. So I guess I'm just hoping everything's going to get erased, right? Folks with locus of control that's inside, that believe they've got the control, have higher levels of financial well-being. And if you've got higher levels of financial well-being, you're more likely to take action on things, including back to that FCAC survey or study that they did, right? Remember I was talking about resistance is never futile. We want to resist the urge to borrow for daily expenses, but equally so, we want to actively save. And when I say actively save, I don't mean tens of thousands of dollars into your bank account. Hey, if you got that going, call me. We could be friends, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about saving money. You know what? Transferring $1 over into your savings account. That's actively saving. Now you think, oh, $1, what? Stays like, what a waste. Yeah, but you know what? $1 becomes 2, and 2 becomes 3, and 3 becomes 500, and so on and so on. It's the act, literally the act of savings, even just a little bit, increases your financial well-being because you're taking control, right? You're getting on the horse instead of the horse leading you. You're taking control and you're doing something about it. That's the difference. So now we're going to talk about all these different ways to save. Remember, we've got a grab and go approach. So if something lands for you, you grab it and go try it. If it doesn't, just let it go. Okay? You can check in with your local bank or credit union to see if you can round it up. I think this is a really clever idea. I know TD has it. So if I buy something for $5.50 and I've agreed, the rule is I round up to the next dollar, then the next dollar is 6. So that's 50 cents extra, just pops into savings. You don't even notice it. And it just adds up. I'm curious if anybody's ever tried that, if you could unmute and share how that's going. Because my bank doesn't offer that, but does anybody's? No? Okay. But that's an option. Okay. All the little things add up, right? All those loonies, and I know cash is not king right now, but collecting loonies and toonies and $5 bills or $20 bills go a long way. You know, it's heavy, right? So if you just keep collecting it, it adds up. That can be your spending money on a holiday. That could be an emergency savings. It could be whatever, but just save it.
Hi, Stacy. Michelle again. I did all the toonies. I call it toonies for Tuscany when I wanted to go to Italy.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
so everything.
How much
And
did you save?
a few $100s because I had a craft peanut butter jar I put the money into.
Yeah,
Hid it away in my closet. And so I just fill it and you forget about it, right? And then when
absolutely.
I do it, I was like, oh, so I have to do that again.
I love that. Toonies for Tuscany. That's brilliant. Thanks, Michelle. Or save your savings. Every time you shop and you save money with discounts, like, on your receipt, how it shows like you saved 10%. That was $3.99. Well, cool, Stace. Since I saved that, let's move that money right into a savings account, right? By doing these little things, right? It's not thousands and thousands of dollars where it's going to break your budget. It's just these little things, but they add up. And the adding of it builds momentum and it builds confidence and it builds success, right? And then that builds in more like, I feel good about my money. I have a better relationship. So I'm going to keep doing more and being better with it. I like this one as well. Save your non-spending. My husband and I were going to go out for dinner, but we decided to eat at home. That was going to cost $50. So you know what? Let's take that 50 and move it into savings, right? So we're spending it, we're just spending it in the savings account. Okay, this one is interesting. So I'm going to take my cute pup, right? The cutest dog in the whole world with floppy ears. And I'm going to take a picture of him and I'm going to put it either on the jar or the envelope or the whatever I'm saving for. Okay, now if I want to get that money, right, get into the piggy jar, or the piggy bank, get into the jar or whatever, I actually have to break through the picture of my dog to get it, or the picture of my children. And the act of actually tearing apart a picture makes us feel uncomfortable, and so we're more likely to leave it alone. Okay, pay yourself first. Truly pay yourself. Give yourself an allowance, right? If you're in a relationship, agree with your person that you're going to have some guilt-free money to spend. My husband and I we have a rule. It has to be on legal things and moral things. So, neither of us are doing cocaine and nobody's, getting a prostitute, either of us. But I love to read, right? And my husband loves to play video games. So the deal is I can't judge him for saying like, wow, why are you playing video games? And he can't say like, why are you being such a book nerd? This is what we love to do. Okay. And I'll be honest, folks, we're not that interesting. We're pretty introverted people, but we have guilt-free allowances. This is an interesting one too. Okay. So this is where you have an accountability partner, a money buddy, if you will. Okay. Or if you love Lord of the Rings, this is someone who's in your fellowship, right? That's going to help you. So Peggy, can I use you as a volunteer? Okay. So let's say Peggy and we're money buddies. And I say to Peggy, you know what? I want to save $100. That's my goal for November. And so what I do is I write Peggy a $100 check and I just give it to her. Okay. That's not the savings. That's the consequence of it. But Peggy knows that I really hate XYZ organization and what they stand for, and all of their political ideas. Okay. She knows like it makes me like want to get sick. Okay. So the deal is, if I do not achieve my $100 savings goal for November, Peggy takes that check that I mailed her and she sends it off to that organization. That's the consequence.
Oh.
Isn't that that's a bit harsh, eh?
But it's very creative and it definitely would work. Because
right?
the money's going one way or another, whether you save it or whether you've got to pay twice when you spent it and then another 100 going to the place.
Yeah. And I got to spend it at a place I really don't want. That is so completely unaligned with my values. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Peggy. Okay. Some other easy tricks, and I'm going to show you how we go through these. The penny challenge. I know the penny is out in Canada, but I don't there's still pennies around and they smell weird. But save them. 1 penny in the jar every day, plus one more. So day 1 is 1 penny, day 2 is 2 pennies, day 3 is 3, and so on and so on. $667 in a year. For pennies, that's not bad. Take a 2-liter bottle, empty it out. Okay, wash it out because it's going to get gross, but empty it out, make sure it's dry, and put dimes in it. fill it right to the roof with dimes. That should save you between about $600 to $700. Just dimes. Okay, or you can do a weekly quest. On Mondays, you put $1 into the savings account. Tuesdays, you do 2, Wednesdays, 3, and so on and so on. And every week, you just go back to 1 through 7. In one whole year, that'll save you $1,456. Okay. And this is probably one of my favorites. This is called the 52-week money challenge. So again, we know there's 52 weeks in a year. We could start this today. Okay, day 1 or week 1, a $1 goes in. Week 2, $2 goes in, and now I have 3. Week 3 goes in, and I put $3, and now I've got 6, and then it goes to 10, etc. If I follow all the way down to 52 weeks, that's $1,378 next year. Okay, that's a good emergency fund. Okay, that's not bad for just adding $1 more. Some people reverse it, go 52 and work backwards to 1. You know, they start in January and it gets easier by the end of the year. Some people treat it like a bingo. And I know my educator in Ottawa, Gary, now this dude loves Christmas. I mean, and we love it that he loves Christmas so much. Like he actually wanted to rent a boom lift to put his lights and his lights thing like that. He's that guy, he's that neighbor, but love it. So he uses this for Christmas. And so he probably gets to about week 48. But what it does is it gives him a cash Christmas. And so in January, he does not have a credit hangover, right? He doesn't have a debt hangover because he saved. He just did this $1 plus $1, and he could afford cash. He could afford Christmas on cash. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if this video works because I think it's a really beautiful video as the last. Let me just see if I can get this going. Now I'm going to need thumbs up. Tell me if you can hear this in just a moment. Can anybody hear that? Can you hear that? No? Okay, hang on. You can't hear it? Okay, how do we do this?
Can't
Joy,
hear.
Okay, Joy, do you know how to do this?
If you click the arrow button on the mute on the bottom left screen,
Mm-hmm.
and then your speaker, is it, what does it say for select speaker?
Let's have a look here.
And
Sorry,
if you
folks.
also click leave computer audio, it's the second last option. It should work.
Okay, hold on, folks. Give me a moment. Yeah, my husband across from me is doing the what's that? The Price is Right, the loser music, the bum bum bum. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can pull it up. Can you hear it? No, okay. So I'll explain it. It's trust me, I'm not. Let's do this. Okay. Well, I'll explain what I mean by this. So this is a scene, if anybody watched The West Wing, there's a huge fan of that. And it's a scene where one of the staff has gone through a pretty significant trauma and he's got PTSD. And his boss waits for him while he goes and gets some trauma counseling. And his boss says, you know, I've got something to tell you. Basically, I've got something to tell you. You know, guy walks in, falls down the hole. Okay. So doctor walks by and doesn't offer any help. Another guy walks by and doesn't offer any help. Third guy walks by, sees the guy in the hole and jumps in the hole. First guy says, what are you doing? Like, now we're both in the hole. And he says, that's okay. I've been in this hole before and I know the way out. Okay. And so why I'm saying that is, and I'll get to the last couple of slides in a moment, is that when it comes to money, you're actually not alone. A lot of us have been in that hole before. There, you know, that includes questions, you know, feeling shame, feeling, you know, terrible about it. However, we know the way out, right? We know that there's ways out and we can help people with that. But the key is you have to reach out for help. So I'm just going to share my final couple of slides. Okay. Remember, you're in a relationship with your money. Okay, and that no relationship is, you can't turn it on or off. It's a journey. So explore your money, explore your history and your values, and look at it as a journey, because when we treat it like you either get it or you don't, That's where the shaman builds up, right? If I don't get it, then I must be one of those folks. No, we're all those folks, right? And lots of us have been down in that hole before, and we know the way out. So you're not alone. So I'll put some resources here, and then I'm just going to open it up to questions and comments. If you have anything to ask or add, I am here for you.
Stacy, we had a comment, employing an accountant costs less than a marriage counselor if you have different approaches about money.
Okay.
I thought that was very smart.
I think it's, you know what though, but I think what we have to remember is that money in a relationship is not always about the money, right? It's not, again, about the dollars and cents. So an accountant can help with the dollars and cents, but you have to figure out the relationship piece too around it. So it's an interesting statement, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and just open it up with our beautiful faces.
And then Mary Carver, I'm not quite sure what you're saying here about sending the $100 check. I guess you get a tax receipt when it goes to the organization.
Okay, yeah.
So there is a plus to that.
Sure,
you
but I
get
can
the
tell
tax
you,
receipt.
Yeah, but my values, you
Yeah.
know, I no, granted, we're all, well, I'm Canadian anyway. Like I don't live in America and I don't have that electoral system. But you know, the example for me, if I were American, would be, you know, that it goes to the Trump campaign. I don't want a tax receipt for that.
No.
Yeah, I would probably destroy the tax receipt. But that is true. You would get that benefit. But the point is that to hold you so accountable that you don't want that, it's going to cause you pain. So you actually save your goal, like you match your goal or meet your goal, excuse me. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Hi, Stacey, I have a question.
Yes.
So I, for myself, I work as a server, so I deal with cash a lot, and I used to kind of, because my income is not regular, I used to just deal everything with cash and separate that. So with COVID, that has definitely been challenging now, moving to using cards for everything. So do you have any specific tips with transitioning there?
Yeah, good point. And thank you, Jessica, for that question. And I appreciate the work you're doing, right? It's, yeah, it can be hard without, you know, moving from a cash society or a cash budget to something different. You know what, the rules are still the same, right? What do you need and what do you want? I think creating, again, using multiple accounts can help you. Like if I know that, and I'm making up just a story about the numbers, but let's say I know for my cash and variable expenses, over the course of 2 weeks, it's going to cost me $200. Like I've accounted for $200. Then I know I just put $200 in that checking account and I use my debit card and I know I can only go to 200. And after that, it's going to go, you know, declined, right? And tap, you can reduce the limit on tap or even eliminate it if you want.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions or comments?
Annie here.
Hi.
I'm more interested in the investment side because right now interest rates are really lousy. Like I was trying to renew a GIC RSP and my bank offered 0.6%. And I was listening to some global bankers and they're all laughing all the way bank because, you know, they're talking about private placements, mega bucks and stuff. So as a regular person, I used to be much more comfortable investments, but I kind of fell off the track the last 20 years. So I'm trying to figure out how to get back on that side. So parking money isn't a problem for me. It's a matter of like, how do I choose the right vehicles? Everybody wants your money to invest, but nobody actually listens to you sometimes. So I have a whole range. I bank with everybody. Right now it's a disaster.
My recommendation is actually to talk to a fee-based financial planner. So what it is you're speaking to them, you pay them a fee, they create a financial plan for you, and then you're done with them. So there's no commitment and they're not selling you anything. What they've sold you is the process of creating the plan.
Yeah, because what they want now is fee for service and ongoing fee, which is different than what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and so you have to look at strictly a fee-based financial planner to do that. Where are you? Are you in?
I'm at BMO full service, but they want like 1.5%.
No, are you in the GTA? is what I was saying.
No, I used to be, but I'm in Ottawa right now.
There's a woman in the GTA, I think she does virtual stuff, Shannon Lee Simmons, Simmons, Simmons.
So how do you, Lee, L-E-E?
Yeah, Shannon Lee Simmons,
And where, okay.
Yeah, she's in the GTA. She does fee-based financial planning as well as financial education. She's
Okay.
written a few books. I've seen her speak, and she's probably one of the best speakers I've ever met. Like, she is funny, and she just gets it. Like, she's real, and she's not coming off like a banker. Check her out. She's got some services that might be able to help you.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay, any other questions or comments? Yes, Rebecca.
I remember that I checked, it was about a year ago now, so I haven't checked recently, but when I pulled up my credit report, I was shocked to see that my bank had been checking it, and it wasn't something that I asked them to do. So is it something that your bank will occasionally run like a credit report on you? And if so, how often would that be? And how much would that impact my credit score?
Yeah, great question. So yes, if you have accounts with them, I assume you've got credit products with them, like a Visa or a MasterCard, then yes, they'll run the occasional check. It doesn't impact your score, so you're okay. It's actually considered a soft hit. Yeah, so you're set.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, we've got time for, I think, maybe one last question, and then we're gonna wrap up. Going once, twice. Okay, so Peggy, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Stacy. I did see that someone's hand was raised. Avis,
forgive me.
I believe it was a few moments ago. Avis, are you still on the line, and did you want to ask a question? Okay, maybe it got answered with something else that, or other things that we talked about. Well, Stacy, we really could go all night. Different definition of an all-nighter, right?
Yeah.
Comparing our financial positions, and so how fantastic. But I want to be respectful of our time, so I just want to say thank you. And I also want to thank the Conference Planning Committee, who is Michelle McAdoo and Leslie McGaskill and Eileen Stanberry and Rebecca Hartley, Brooklyn Buckley, and the person that you have heard us talking to periodically tonight, Joy Hun. And thank you all very much for your hard work planning and making sure tonight came together. I also want to just thank one more time our fabulous sponsors, and please remember them as you look back on this video in the new year or when you reflect on everything that had happened tonight. So thank you very much to Canola Eat Well, to Brescia University College, to the Egg Farmers of Ontario, PC Blue Menu, and also to the Veal Farmers of Ontario. Thank you very, very much. And the moment has come. I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca, who is going to walk us through the draw and the lucky winners. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you very much. So we have two prizes that we're drawing for tonight. So the first one was provided by McCormick. So we have a spice rack that we're giving away. The random generated winner of that one was Laura Armstrong. So if you're here with us and could just either in the chat or unmute yourself and just let us know, then you can claim that prize. Just give a couple of seconds here.
Laura Armstrong, are you here? Okay, so maybe give it a couple more seconds, and otherwise we're going to do a redraw with everyone that's present. Okay, so I did have a backup one ready. So our winner for the spice rack is Laura Donatelli. If you're here with us and either can just unmute or say in the chat.
I am here, and thank you very much.
Perfect. So I'll get in contact with you and let you know once it's shipped out.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome. So we have one more. This Cindy Hartman was able to connect with Fantastic Nails. So we do have a spa gift certificate for a manicure that's being provided by them. It's also not going to expire, so it's not something you have to rush out. And the winner of that one was Carol Christie. So I see you on the screen here, so that's perfect. I'll get in touch with you, and congratulations to both our winners.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Back to you, Becky.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. That's fantastic. And really the last great big thank you, Stacy, really does need to go to you for the evening. And I just am always so impressed with your truly gracious demeanor. We started out with our, well, we feel like we're the only one, or we feel grr, or all of these things, but you're someone that you wouldn't mind telling about whatever it is that you needed to talk about. And so I think that's so helpful in opening the door to helping solve our financial problems. So thank you very, very much for that. And thank you also for reminding us that we actually can control things. And I think one of the best ways for me that you did that is almost giving money a personality. You know, it has a job, which means you're kind of the boss, and it's actually very obedient. If you say stay in the bank account, it will. If you say follow those shoes, off it goes. So looking at money in that context for me completely shifts my viewpoint. It's not something, how did I get a credit card bill, or how did I get this bank fee, or how did this happen? I'm the one that's giving it its job. So it will follow shoes or stay in the bank depending on what I do. So thank you for reminding us that. And I'm happy to concede that your dog is the cutest in the world, because I have a cat. And so there's no conflict of interest there. And his tail usually goes by when I'm on the Zoom calls, but he didn't tonight. He behaved himself. So thank you so much for your many, many gifts. And I know that we'll be working together again. And I know the OHEA has a lot of different things coming up, and we'll be able to benefit very much from your presence. And also online, when we make the YouTube video available, everyone will be able to hear all of these great tips again. And truly just, I couldn't write fast enough for all the great information that was coming by. So I'll be watching the video in the new year again, taking all my notes. So just thank you sincerely.
Oh, thank you so much. I was thinking today, you know, when you walk into a room and you find your people, like, oh, home economists, my people, my brethren, because they're, you know, you don't get to walk into every room and go like, here are people. So thank you. It was such a privilege to hang out. And I agree with you, Peggy. We could go all night. I think we'd have to change our beverages from water to, you know, something just a little stronger. But thank you. It's just such a joy to talk about money and hang out with like-minded individuals who really do believe in, you know, in investing in, you know, personal development and money management. So thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. You're very welcome, Stacy. And for everyone on the call, one of the things when we were initially talking to Stacy and planning tonight, and I had said, is there anything that we can do for you? And Stacy had just said, lots and lots and lots of kind acts. So we're going to get right on those kind acts and help people as we can to make good on what it is we said we could do for you. And so what a wonderful evening, and thank you very much. And just before everyone goes, please watch for our survey. Eileen will be sending that out either tomorrow or very, very soon. And if you could give us some feedback on tonight, that would be really wonderful, because we want to always grow and improve, and your thoughts and ideas are really important in our being able to do that. And our sponsors have provided items in a digital grab bag that we're going to be mailing out to all attendees after the last speaker series, which is in 2 more weeks. So watch for your survey and watch for your digital grab bag for goodies from the sponsors. And don't forget Stacy's website to route friends to and other people that might need it. And with that, until we meet again, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful evening. And we'll see some of you in 2 weeks and others when we meet again. So have a lovely, lovely evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.